Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're watching this video from. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Acheng, and in today's video, I am going to share a recipe of how I'll be preparing kind of sauteed or fried beef, and I'm going to use dried tomatoes. Dried tomatoes are really amazing. They add a punch of flavor to your food when you use dried tomato. There's something about when the tomatoes dried, sun dried, it just brings some amazing flavor out of it. And I'm going to be adding the sun dried tomatoes on this recipe, and I'm also going to use homemade tomato paste that I prepared myself. If you have not checked that video, make sure you check it out. And if this is your first time to our channel, welcome to our YouTube channel. If you have not subscribed and you're watching this video, please click on the subscribe and the like button, and welcome to our YouTube channel. This is just a channel where I walk you guys through recipes. I love to cook, I love to travel, I love to eat, and that is why I'm just sharing my journey with you guys. So I really hope you enjoyed. So I've already prepared the meat. I bought it from the farm. I posted a video on how I prepare my meats when I go to the farm, so make sure you check it out. I have already softened the meat, so it's ready. What I'm going to do first, I'm going to refry, kind of fry the meat first so that it can give it a texture, because right now, as I've softened it in water, it's soft, but I like frying it first before proceeding with the next step, so that the meat can have some texture. Everyone is different, but in Africa, before we prepare the meat, we usually fry it in oil first to kind of harden it a little bit. And for the chicken, we usually smoke it first on charcoal to add some flavor to it. So I really hope you enjoy this video, and I've already prepared everything. Our oil is ready, so we're just going to go to the next step. So I already have our oil warming up, and this is our meat that we already softened. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to refry our meat like I mentioned. And this part is very important because it's going to add some texture to our meats. So we're going to let this refry for about 2 minutes while turning. So the meat is beginning to kind of harden a little bit, but we're just going to give it a little bit more time to make sure all parts of the meat have been, the texture has been hardened just a little bit. Always at this point, you can always add more heat. You're also more than welcome to do so, but you really have to pay attention and watch over the food. You do not want your meat to burn. So I keep turning so that I make sure both sides are being refried and it's not just one side. So for the spices, I'm going to be using some cumin. I'm going to be using ginger powder, bay leaves, the dried one. I'm also going to be using cayenne and of course some Creole seasoning, some black pepper, some smoked paprika. We have our dried tomatoes right here. I already have my onions ready. I'm going to add some tomato paste to it. And we have our broth right here and our garlic. If you have watched my previous videos, you know with spices, it just depends with my mood on which spices I want to use exactly. Everyone is different, but I always do a blend of spices. So our meat is turning, as you can see, it's turning brown, which is good. But we're going to fry it just a little bit longer. So I am happy with where we are now. We don't want to fry it for too long. So I'm going to start removing our meat. This is how it looks like. Just removing it. It's not too brown or not too hardened. It's just somewhere in between, which is what we want. But again, if you're someone that you want to refry them longer, please feel free to do that. Going to set that aside. Let this oil kind of warm up just a little bit more. And then we're going to proceed with adding our onions. It's warm. So with the onions, I just let it tender, soften a little bit, not too much, but just a little bit before adding the tomato paste, because the tomato paste, I like cooking it down to a point where all of the oil is cooked, all of the water, sorry, is cooked out. And all you're left with is the tomato. And then that's when I'm going to add the dried tomatoes, the sun-dried tomatoes. So this is our tomatoes that I'm going to add. I always prepare my tomatoes this way, and then this is homemade tomato from scratch. It has bell peppers, it has Romanian peppers, it has some onion, it has red bell peppers. I already said that, but it has amazing ingredients inside of it that brings out amazing flavor. So that's what I'm going to use. And if you guys have not checked out the video where I make tomato paste from scratch, please make sure you check it out. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and add our tomato paste because I don't want the onion to cook too long because our tomato paste is going to cook longer too, so they'll all cook evenly eventually. So this is enough tomato paste. Sorry guys, not tomato paste, tomato sauce. I always get those two confused. I guess the tomato sauce is a sauce because it's more liquidy in consistency than paste is more thicker. So as you can see, this tomato sauce has some liquid in it, and we want to cook down that liquid all the way down until all we are left with is just the tomato sauce itself in its thickest form. So we are going to cook this down. I'm going to cover this because it kind of gets messy a little bit if you're not too careful. So I'm going to let it cook down first. Just cover it halfway and let it cook down. So our tomato paste has cooked down. Our tomato sauce has cooked down a little bit, and I like where it is. So this is the point where I go ahead and add our dried tomatoes so they can continue to cook down together. Remember, our dried tomatoes typically they do not have as much liquid in them as the tomato sauce. That is why I started cooking down the tomato sauce first, so that it can just cook down as much as it can, and get rid of the extra juices. And then now we have added our tomato, our sun-dried tomatoes. So this is where I start adding spices. If you have noticed, I had not added any spices because I wanted the tomato sauce to cook down a little bit. So I have bay leaves that I'm going to add just one leaf, and then going to proceed by adding some chicken bouillon, one of my favorite spices that I use. It's just going to break that down a little bit. And then I'm going to add some Creole seasoning. I'm going to add some black pepper. And remember with paprika, it's dark in color, so it changes the color of the food, if especially if you're using tomato sauce or paste. So I always like adding it later on because I want to make sure first that my tomatoes has cooked down very well to how I want it before actually adding paprika, so that the color does not fool me to for me to think that it's cooked and it's not cooked. Now at this moment I am going to add my meat because I want the meat to start cooking into this tomato and start kind of extracting some of the flavors from it. Looks and smell amazing already. I'm going to also add some garlic, some whole garlic into this. And then I'm going to add some ginger powder. If you have whole ginger, you can definitely use whole ginger. I'm just using ginger powder. So with this, I want this to cook on low heat because we really want the flavor to really seep through the meat. Also, I'm going to go ahead and add my ghee. This is a staple African spice, either Royco if you're from the east and Maggi if you're from the west, but this is how it looks like. It looks beautiful already, as you can see. And what we want all of the we just want all of the flavor to be released inside of the meat. That's why we want it to just slowly cook. And I had some beef broth that I saved when I was softening this meat. So I'm only going to add just a little bit of beef broth so that it can help it simmer down and help the flavors to really seep through the meat. But it's going to be a little because we do not want, when we are done with this meat, we do not want to have any sauce in it. So I'm just going to add just a little bit. As you can see, I was very careful with the amount. I'm going to taste and see how we are doing with the water level. Not the water level, but the spice level. So this is where I go ahead and add my smoked paprika. Just a little pinch of salt, not too much. I love heat, so I'm going to use my cayenne pepper. Always adds some heat. I'm also going to use some black pepper, just adding because I want more heat. And I'm going to add some of the Creole seasoning. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to add a little pinch of water, just a little pinch, and then I'm going to let this cook down. I want the meat to really cook into this amazing tomato sauce that we have used and the sun-dried peppers. So I'm going to let this cook down. I am going to also reduce the heat tremendously so it can just cook down all the way. And we're going to let this cook for about 15 minutes. Since it's on low heat, it's on very low heat, so we're just going to let it cook down. So this is how our meat came out. It looks amazing and juicy. As you can see, it is so flavorful, and we let the meat cook down into the tomato sauce slowly, and this is what we have as a result. I really hope that you enjoyed this video. This can be eaten different type of ways. I usually eat it with veggie and ugali, which is a traditional Kenyan food. But let me know what you guys think about this video, and until next time, bon appetit.